Where did this movie come from? Bro, what? 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 And I swear I thought I was tripping on something. What? Huh? What? Huh? Hang on to your swords, Dungeon Masters, because I am Isaac Joel with the Critics at Agents of Fandom, and today we are breaking down Dungeons and Dragons, the latest movie by Paramount Pictures starring Chris Pine, and it comes out March 31st. First and foremost, I gotta put up a disclaimer. I am not a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan. I've never played the games at all. I know absolutely nothing about it, nor do I think that really matters. Now, I'm going to have some people eating me alive with this review, and that's completely okay. I'm fully prepared to take these punches, but I have to be able to be honest here. I've never played the games. I don't really think it matters if you haven't ever played the video game to a movie, or if you never watched the old TV shows or ever. I feel like all of that should automatically, as a new audience, you're making this film or whatever it may be, this reboot, this revamp, or this retelling for a new audience, for a new generation. You're trying to bring in a new audience for it. You're not just trying to appeal to the fan base. Although those movies, Marvel movies, all these all of these fantasy movies have a huge appeal to the fan base, and they are crowd pleasers for that fan base. However, you still need to get new people, and you have to get an average audience member in the seats wanting their full undivided attention, because for me personally, I love it when I walk out of a theater and it gets me so excited, the new film, whatever it may be. Let me use Star Trek as a perfect example because you have Chris Pine in there. I saw Star Trek when I was a child in the theaters, and I knew absolutely nothing about Star Trek. And this movie blew my freaking mind. I wanted to go home and watch the old TV shows. I wanted to get more into it. I wanted to be the biggest fan that I could be, and I'm into it with them. The same thing happened to me when The Hobbit came out. I know a lot of people didn't like The Hobbit when that came out, but that was my first introduction to the Lord of the Rings. And so I go back and I watch those movies, and then I start looking at the books and all of that. And now all of a sudden you have brought up a new member to the fan base, and I'm part of it. I mean, look at me over here with this Ghostface shirt. Like, I am very, very in tuned with fandom. I really, really want to be part of it. I don't like feeling like I'm missing out or I'm being left behind. So I do my absolute best to make these efforts and these attempts. I saw Dungeons and Dragons. Now, this was not the best movie in the entire world for me. I go in the theater and there's people in there dressed up and everything. I went to go get some snacks at one point in I went to go get some snacks at one point during the movie, and I remember I was like really low, and I was coming into the theater, and this old guy just looked at me and threw his hands in the air, and he was so furious at me for getting out of my seats during Dungeons and Dragons. And I kid you not, guys, throughout this entire movie, constantly there was audience members getting up and walking in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Same people, different people. And so I was very confused as far as to where the hell it was I am. I'm going to do my absolute best to try and remember this movie verbatim. The story is about a charming thief who daughter is being taken care of by some guy all these years, and the guy lied to the daughter and wants to take care of his daughter now, and he's pretending like he's his father. And so now the heist is about kidnapping the daughter back to the dad because he was gone all these years, trying to steal a tablet to bring back his dead wife. I think I did it. I think I did it, guys. I think that's pretty much it. And they got to go around and get other thieves, other monsters, other creatures and wizards and all that and knights to come together and steal a thing, a helmet, to go and unlock a door so they can get another thing and prove to the daughter that he hasn't been lying all this time. And then they're going to give some money to the townspeople because why not? I'm sure that's part of Dungeons and Dragons is giving back to the village people. Logo took a very, very long time to get onto the screen, and by the time it did get on screen, it was so massive and filled the page. It didn't feel like I was watching a movie anymore. And this is just a personal thing. When the smaller the font, the more serious the movie, right? Am I serious? Am I? The bigger the font, the more just pretentious and in my face you're trying to be with it, guy. Like, back up a little bit. I have such a hard time with the title of this movie, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. At no point it really did not have to have this subtitle. I feel like you are asking a lot out of your audiences to remember this. And the poster, oh my God, I believe there's like 6-8 faces on there. You got a dragon on there. You got the castle and the people down there. There's a lot going on with this poster. Question going into the movie was, okay, maybe I'm not super intapped with this. However, I still like Chris Pine. I think he's a fantastic actor. I like Star Trek. Maybe he is that character that can help bridge the gap between the audience and the world and kind of help me feel a little bit more intersected with it. Chris Pine does his absolute best to be charming and witty and all of that during the duration of this movie. It is not enough to really get me on board with what it is that is happening. His motivations as a thief is just not exciting to me. I guess I wasn't really expecting, I didn't want to know too much about this movie. I wanted to come in the dark and be pleasantly surprised and walk out, and have more questions. But the fact that the main character wants to, that the whole heist is about kidnapping a daughter, not about anything else. So everything outside of that is purely MacGuffin devices. And you can sit here and tell me like, oh no, that's actually a game piece in the game or this or that, and that's actually in tune with it or whatever. Everything was like, let's stop, take a second, and explain to the people in the movie what that creature is, what the rules are, how it operates. And I just felt like this whole movie was just going to be just exposition. I was worried about it being an exposition film, and it turned out to be just a huge, I gotta educate you on the world that is Dungeons and Dragons. And I didn't want to feel like that. I wanted to just walk into it. I wanted them to be just living amongst each other and talking the way they talk, doing the things that they do. I'm a fly on the wall. You guys do what you do and be who it is that you are. But it was as if they knew they were in a movie. They knew how silly this was and everything like that. And that's really a low bar to set a movie like this. When you're talking about a huge world. You're talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sorry, just that, like, literally, where were the dungeons and where were the dragons in this? I saw a lot of people making references to Guardians of the Galaxy meets Shrek. I think that's more of a jab at it than a compliment. I really felt like people are ironically liking this movie. I don't really think anybody actually is like, oh, I'm going to take my mother, I'm going to take my sister, I'm going to take my brothers, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my friends, whoever it is that you go to the movies with. I doubt you guys are going to be looking at each other and going, you know what we should really see tonight? Dungeons and Dragons. Dude, bro, what? 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 There really isn't anything for me to spoil here. Now, I feel like I'm spending a lot of time just talking about the things that didn't work for me. Let me talk about the things that I actually did enjoy. I enjoyed the wizards, the red wizards specifically. They look terrifying. They do kind of cool stuff, kind of cool magic, blah, blah, blah. There's a couple of cool camera tricks and sequences that do work for me. I am a huge fan of practical effects and real life makeup and prosthetics. So the creatures in this movie, the ones that are in actual costume, I really, really dug. I was always, whenever a creature popped up on screen that wasn't CGI, that wasn't a CGI deer or rat or whatever the hell, I was actually like, this is cool. I wish this was the entire movie. I wish I was seeing actual dungeons. I wish I was actually, I never got into Game of Thrones. And people were pushing these types of like storytellings and shows onto me. And I just don't know if the whole night era Witcher thing, Wicker, whatever, Witcher, I don't know if the whole Knights era Witcher thing really has its place today. It really is not been a genre that anybody has tapped into and has reimagined, has done anything new, exciting, different with it. You got a couple of good jokes in here. Sure, I'll give you that. I think this movie is, if anything, really funny. At sometimes it is funny on purpose, and then sometimes you're laughing at it. There are times when you're laughing with it, and then times when you're laughing at it. And I found myself in this weird medium of like, I don't know where it is you guys want me to land right now, because I'm laughing at you, not really with you guys. The audience was eating this movie up. They were laughing at every single bit and piece of this movie. I had no idea where I was. By the time you get to the final act and they're going to use the thing that they have worked so hard throughout their entire lives, throughout the entire movie, to bring back his wife from the dead, they end up using it on a totally other character. And that character wakes up and is like, are you kidding me? Did you really use it on me? Why did you do that? We went through all of this. And then the movie's just this happy ending. And they're all smiling and hugging. She's like, no, seriously, why did you bring me back? I wanted to die. I literally wanted to die a hero's death. Yeah, we all wanted you too. At no point are the stakes high. At no point are you genuinely concerned for anybody or any of their well-beings. I understand that this isn't supposed to be a serious movie, that this is supposed to be a family fun film that, you know, you could bring your kids in and have a little bit of fun with it. Again, I come from a big family. I doubt families are going to be on a Saturday morning, afternoon, and be like, guys, we got to go see Dungeons and Dragons today. I am very curious if this movie's going to make a lot of money. And I'm telling you guys, I could be on the total opposite side of this one. I probably am. I truly probably am, and I accept that. But for my predictions, for the way that I interpret storytelling and filmmaking, I doubt that this is going to make any money. It's probably going to be on streaming in a couple of weeks. Nobody's going to see it. I've been watching the interviews. These actors do not care about this project. You cannot convince me that these dudes, that they all don't. They were looking at each other like, ask that person. That person was like, I don't know what it's called. I don't know what it's called. I don't know my character. I forgot. You know, I think it's this. A lot of scratching their heads, man. I think Chris Pine was the only one that was like, yeah, I played it before with my parents, but everyone else is just totally BSing it, man. I do not believe them for 1 second. Like, oh, we had to make this movie. I was so excited about it. I'm the biggest Dungeon director, blah, 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 blah. Took 2 directors to make this movie, by the way. 2 directors to make this movie. Now, sometimes that's cool. Sometimes that is a good case. Sometimes it is. I will give you that. In this case, man, of course you needed 2 directors because these guys, there's so many different tones happening here. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't think Hugh Grant should be acting anymore. I said it. I finally said it. I finally let it out because everybody thinks Hugh Grant is a charming, wonderful genius of an actor, and he brings so much to the role. And Operation Fortune he was so good as the villain in there, and then he's so good in this. I don't think for years Hugh Grant has put any real effort into his acting career. He's playing the same characters. He's doing the same quirks. He's doing the same bits every freaking time, man. And I am seriously over it. I'm done, man. I am done, man, with this guy as an actor. I truly feel this way, man, because he is not challenging himself. He's not doing anything new, anything different. He is the same in this movie, in that movie, in that movie. If he's not doing those rom-coms from the 90s, he's playing the same villain all over again. And I didn't want him to be the villain. I didn't want him to be the villain, and he's always sitting down and giggling and having a good time. Oh boy, oh bollocks, oh boy, we're gonna get the wizards and we're gonna have a good time and we're gonna kill you and I'm gonna take your daughter and I'm just going to oh bollocks, oh crumpets and tea, oh boy, and then he walks away and oh darling, I believe you should play in the games, darling. Like I'm done. This movie genuinely gave me a headache. I found myself at so many times just rubbing my head, man, just like, God, what is it that I'm seeing right now? There was at one point it turned into a full-fledged cartoon, a full cartoon, when the rope wraps around this dude's feet and and then he goes flying off, man. Ridiculous. A lot of Three Stooges stuff going on in here. A lot of Mr. Magoo stuff happening here. Who is he, Jack Sparrow? Like, where did this movie come from? Who was begging for a Dungeons and Dragons movie? Guys, do you not remember when they tried this with Warcraft? Need I remind you more? This doesn't work. These levels of storytelling for these mediums do not work. If you really wanted this, it should have been a series. It should have been a series. It should have been the best Amazon, HBO series, whatever. But it did not belong in a 2-hour, 14-minute movie. At one point, towards the end, there's a weird hologram version of Chris Pine, and it's starting to like melt and deconform. And I swear I thought I was tripping on something like really, really hard. And the crowd was, I was just like, I couldn't believe what was happening. I was like, no freaking way. What? Huh? Oh my God, did someone do that? What, man? You got another song created by another famous artist, Tame Impala. He does a track for the movie. And again, guys, I really feel some way about these artists making songs for movies. I don't think the two are one and the same. Leave well enough alone. Honestly, just stick to a score, a soundtrack, anything else besides creating a track. Hey, can we make a Dungeons and Dragons track for this movie? Oh, heck yeah, man. Let's get Tame Impala here. Like, a pet peeve of mine that I have with movies that know that they are not good movies is that they tell you, we know this isn't a good movie, straight up. When the main character says something completely nonsensical, in the case of Dungeons and Dragons, it's Chris Pine's character going on around a campfire saying, I have failed so many times that failure is not an option and I will not fail, because if we fail, then I failed for the first time, but we won't fail, I promise. And everyone's literally with a confused look on their face, and one actress goes, huh? It literally was me the entire movie. That is my reaction to this entire, huh? Did they just say what? And guys, you have the weirdest cameo from a big name actor in this movie. And when he popped up on screen, I literally am like, is that him? What is he doing here? Why is he okay? Well, and he does nothing, does absolutely nothing. For no reason, this actor is in this movie just to swing on by, open the door, say, hey, close the door, bye, It's, what are you guys using all of this money on? There are starving kids in foreign countries. We should be saving them, man. Put this money to charity. If you want to make Men in Black International, just go send that money to charity. If you want to make Dungeons and Dragons honor Among Thieves, just donate the money to charity. Why waste our time? Why waste actors' time, VFX artists' time with a movie that more than likely is not going to get a sequel? It's not. It's not going to get a sequel. If this makes a lot of money, sure. Why not? Sure. But I predicted that it's going to make nothing. Absolutely nothing. And for that, I think that this movie will never, ever be mentioned again. Maybe in a couple years from now, I'm going to warm up around to it. Maybe I'll put it back on a day where I'm doing absolutely nothing and be like, it's kind of entertaining. It's cool for the family, yada, yada. I stand by everything I said right now. Dungeons and Dragons is hitting theaters on March 31st, and I gotta know, what do you guys think about this movie? Are you excited to see it? What are your thoughts? Please comment in the description below or tweet at me at It's Isaac Joel and let me know. I want to hear the hardcore D&D fans on what you felt about this movie, if it delivered on it, if you want to see more from this world, if you want to see more characters, or is this the end of Dungeons and Dragons the way it was for Warcraft? Let me know. I have been your host, Isaac Joel, right here with the critics at Agents of Fandom, and I will catch you next time.